Welcome to our series, the Sleepy Poker Masterclass, Beginner to Master. In this opening lesson, we will gently guide you through the very first steps of Texas Hold'em poker. Together we will learn how the table is arranged, how blinds begin the action, and how each hand unfolds from the cards you hold to the final showdown. The language will remain calm, the pacing unhurried, and the details clear. This first lesson will give you a complete foundation to understand how Texas Hold'em begins, setting the stage for all the lessons that follow. Chapter 1: Why Poker Captures Us. Poker has always held a special place in the imagination, drawing people from quiet home games to bright casino rooms. What is it that makes this simple game of cards so compelling? At its heart, poker is a balance of chance, skill, and human connection. Every hand begins with uncertainty. Cards are shuffled, dealt face down, and no one knows what the outcome will be. That hidden information is the spark, creating curiosity that pulls players in. Each decision along the way, whether to fold, call, or raise, becomes part of a story shaped by both luck and choice. Unlike many games of pure chance, poker allows the player's mind to guide the outcome. With patience, observation, and practice, a player can improve, learning how to judge not only the strength of their own cards, but also the behavior of others. The fascination lies in this mix. Sometimes a weak hand can be played strongly and win, while a strong hand can fall if misplayed. This delicate dance between skill and chance keeps every hand alive with possibility. It is never the same twice, and that endless variety creates a quiet draw that holds our attention. There is also something timeless about poker. The slow rhythm of shuffling, the soft clink of chips, and the measured way players reveal their cards all create an atmosphere of ritual. These moments, repeated hand after hand, feel both familiar and new. Poker has been played for generations, passed down in smoky card rooms, on kitchen tables, and in grand tournaments. That history adds to its charm. When we sit at a poker table, we are not only playing with the cards in front of us, we are joining a long tradition that connects us to countless others who have played before. Another part of the appeal is the human element. Poker is as much about people as it is about cards. Reading an opponent's hesitation, noticing a subtle gesture, or listening to the tone of their bet can provide insights that no rulebook can teach. These small details create a social layer that adds richness to the game. Whether among friends or strangers, poker builds connections, shared in moments of laughter, tension, and quiet thought. Ultimately, poker captures us because it mirrors life in gentle ways. It is a game of decisions made with incomplete information, of patience rewarded and risks sometimes punished, of fortune shifting suddenly and unexpectedly. It teaches acceptance, that not every hand can be won, but that each one offers a chance to learn. In its calm rhythm, poker offers both challenge and comfort. That balance is what draws us in and keeps us returning, hand after hand, to the table. Chapter 2: What makes Texas Hold'em unique? Among the many forms of poker, Texas Hold'em has become the most widely played and most easily recognized. Its structure is simple to learn, yet deep enough to hold endless layers of strategy. What sets it apart begins with its design. Each player receives 2 private cards, known only to them. These hole cards form the foundation of their potential hand. Across the center of the table, 5 community cards are gradually revealed in stages. All players share these cards, combining them with their hole cards to make the best possible 5-card hand. This mixture of private and public information is what gives Texas Hold'em its distinct character. The use of community cards creates constant interaction between players. Unlike games where everyone holds separate hidden hands, in Hold'em each new card revealed in the middle changes the story for everyone at the table. A flop of 3 cards may help one player directly, but it also carries possibilities for opponents. The turn and river add more layers of suspense, as each card may shift the balance of power. This shared tension makes Hold'em a game of both patience and sharp observation. Players are not only measuring their own cards, but watching how those same community cards may connect with others' holdings. Another unique element is the rhythm of betting. Texas Hold'em is built around 4 betting rounds: pre-flop, flop, turn, and river. This structure provides several opportunities for players to make decisions, build pots, or step aside. Each round is a pause, a chance to reflect on new information. The repeated cycle of decision and reveal gives Hold'em its heartbeat, a measured pace that is both suspenseful and soothing. For beginners, the pattern quickly becomes familiar, creating comfort in the repetition. Position is also central in Hold'em. Because the dealer button rotates around the table, each player experiences acting first and acting last. This creates fairness, while also shaping strategy. A decision made from early position carries less information than one made from late position, where a player has seen how others act first. The importance of acting order is one of the game's quiet lessons, teaching patience and awareness with every hand. Texas Hold'em is unique too, in how it blends accessibility with depth. The rules can be explained in minutes, making it easy for new players to sit down and join. Yet beneath those simple rules lies complexity that can be studied for a lifetime. Professionals analyze probabilities, betting patterns, and subtle behavior, while casual players enjoy the social side and the simple thrill of turning over cards. The same game accommodates both levels, offering something to everyone. What makes Texas Hold'em truly special is that balance. It is simple enough to welcome anyone, yet deep enough to never grow old. Its use of shared community cards, its structured betting rhythm, and its rotating positions create a game of fairness, suspense, and endless variety. In its calm flow, it holds both challenge and relaxation, making it the centerpiece of modern poker. Chapter 3: The Table Layout. Imagine settling into the quiet atmosphere of a poker room, where the table itself becomes the stage for every decision. The table is most often oval, a shape that naturally brings each player into view of the others. Around its edge, 6 to 10 players take their seats, each with a personal space for chips and cards. In front of them rests a small area where 2 private cards will soon be dealt face down. These hole cards form the starting point of every hand, a secret foundation known only to the player. At the center of the table lies the shared ground, the community card area. This is where the dealer places cards face up for all to use, blending each player's private cards with a common set that everyone can see. The dealer position, marked by a small disc, moves clockwise from one hand to the next. This quiet rotation keeps the game fair, ensuring that no one player holds the same advantage for long. Chips are stacked neatly in front of each player, colorful markers of both strategy and chance. More than tokens, they represent decisions, whether to protect them carefully, risk them boldly, or use them to pressure an opponent into folding. The way chips move across the felt tells the hidden story of confidence, caution, and shifting fortunes. The table layout is more than furniture. It is the framework that makes the game possible. Its structure ensures that every player sees the same information, that order is maintained, and that the flow of action remains steady. The oval shape, the dealer's rotation, the balance between private and shared cards, all of these details quietly create fairness and rhythm. Understanding this design is the first step to appreciating how Texas Hold'em unfolds. As you picture the soft light across the green felt, notice how each element has its role. The players, their cards, their chips, and the community area all come together in harmony. It is here, at this simple oval table, that strategies will be tested, bluffs will be whispered, and fortunes will rise and fall. With the layout in mind, you can now begin to see how the story of poker takes shape, one hand at a time. Chapter 4: The Dealer Button. At the heart of every Texas Hold'em game is a small round disc known as the dealer button. It may appear simple, just a plastic or metal marker that sits in front of one player, yet its role is central to the fairness and flow of the game. The button quietly rotates one seat to the left after each hand, circling the table like the steady movement of a clock. This rotation ensures that every player, in time, takes on the responsibilities and opportunities that come with each position. No one is left with an advantage for too long, and no one is left without their share of disadvantage either. The dealer button is the anchor that keeps the game in balance. The first role of the dealer button is symbolic. In a home game, the person in this seat would often deal the cards, sliding them across the felt to each player. In casinos or card rooms, a professional dealer handles the action, but the button still designates where the dealing would begin. From this marker, the order of play is determined, setting the stage for blinds, bets, and the flow of every hand. Without the button's steady rotation, the structure of poker would quickly fall apart, leaving confusion instead of clarity. The dealer button also decides who must post the blinds. Immediately to its left sits the small blind, followed by the big blind. These forced bets create the first pot of the hand, ensuring there is always something to play for. As the button moves, these responsibilities shift evenly across the table, so no single player shoulders the burden every time. In this way, the button acts as a silent guide, keeping the cycle of betting both orderly and fair. Another key role of the dealer button is in determining the order of betting. Before the flop, action begins with the player seated to the left of the big blind and moves clockwise around the table. After the flop is revealed, the action changes. From that point forward, the player to the left of the dealer button acts first, while the button itself acts last. To be on the button means to have the final say in each betting round, a powerful advantage that experienced players learn to value. Acting last allows you to watch your opponent's choices before making your own. You can see who checks, who bets, who hesitates, and who pushes forward with confidence. With that knowledge, your decisions are clearer and often stronger. This advantage is not permanent. Because the button rotates, every player eventually enjoys the benefit of acting last, as well as the burden of acting first. The fairness of this system is part of what makes Texas Hold'em so enduring. Each player is drawn into the rhythm of the game, experiencing the ebb and flow of opportunity in equal measure. The button's journey is steady and predictable, yet the decisions it influences are unpredictable and filled with tension. Strategically, players often widen their range of hands when sitting on the button. The reason is simple: the more information you have, the better your choices become. When everyone else has already shown their strength or weakness, you can adjust your own play with greater precision. Even modest hands, ones you might fold in early position, can become playable when you have the luxury of acting last. This is why the button is considered the most favorable seat at the table, a spot where patience and observation are rewarded. As you imagine the calm passing of the dealer button from one seat to the next, think of it not only as a marker, but as a gentle conductor of the game. It ensures that no hand begins without structure, no round proceeds without order, and no player is denied the chance to experience each role. The button is a quiet presence, unassuming yet essential. Without it, Hold'em would lose its rhythm. With it, the game becomes a balanced cycle of fairness, challenge, and opportunity. In the steady movement of this small disc, the essence of poker is quietly preserved. Chapter 5. The Small Blind. To the immediate left of the dealer button sits the small blind, one of the most unique and challenging seats in all of Texas Hold'em. This position carries the responsibility of posting a mandatory wager before any cards are even dealt. The amount is usually half the size of the big blind, though in some games it may be slightly more. While small in value, this forced bet changes the entire nature of the hand. It ensures that action begins right away, that there is always something to play for, and that no hand unfolds without at least some chips already in the pot. The small blind is often seen as a difficult position for new players. Unlike most seats at the table, it requires an immediate investment, without the chance to first evaluate the strength of your cards. This means you are contributing chips to the pot, with no guarantee of holding a playable hand. Over the course of a session, these small bets add up, teaching players that discipline and awareness are essential. It is a gentle reminder that poker is a game of patience as much as it is a game of action. Once the cards are dealt, the small blind becomes even more complex. Before the flop, this player acts after everyone else, except the big blind. After the flop, the small blind must act first in every remaining betting round. This makes the position difficult, because you are forced to make decisions without the benefit of seeing how other players react. In poker, information is power, and the small blind has the least of it. Acting first often means committing chips without knowing whether opponents are strong, weak, or uncertain. This disadvantage is why experienced players often caution beginners not to play too many hands from the small blind. Yet the small blind also offers lessons in strategy. Because you have already invested part of the bet, you will sometimes feel tempted to continue into the hand, even with weak cards. This is called completing the small blind, where you add a few more chips to match the big blind and see the flop. While this can occasionally lead to surprising wins, it can also drain chips over time if done too often. Strong players learn to be selective, choosing carefully when to defend their small blind, and when to simply let it go. Folding, though it may feel like surrender, is often the wisest course from this seat. At the same time, there are moments when the small blind can be a place of opportunity. Against only one or two opponents, a well-timed raise from the small blind can seize control of the hand. By taking the initiative, you shift pressure onto others, turning your positional disadvantage into a weapon. This blend of risk and restraint is what makes the small blind such a fascinating position. It is both a weakness to manage and a tool to use when the moment feels right. Over the course of a game, every player will spend time in the small blind. As the dealer button rotates, the responsibility passes around the table, ensuring fairness. No one can avoid it forever. Everyone will face the challenge of acting first with only partial investment in the pot. In this way, the small blind serves as a quiet equalizer, gently reminding each player that poker requires adaptability in all circumstances. As you imagine sitting in this seat, picture the small stack of chips already in the pot, placed before you even look at your cards. Feel the tension of being asked to act early, with less information than anyone else. The small blind may be a modest bet, but it shapes the decisions of the hand in powerful ways. It is a position that teaches discipline, strategy, and humility. More than just a rule, it is a fundamental part of the game's rhythm, ensuring that Texas Hold'em always begins with energy, fairness, and the gentle push of chips into play. Chapter 4. the big blind. 2 seats to the left of the dealer button sits the big blind, the larger of the 2 forced bets in Texas Hold'em. Like the small blind, it is placed before any cards are dealt, but unlike its smaller counterpart, the big blind equals the full minimum bet at the table. This wager ensures that there is always a meaningful pot to contest, giving players an incentive to take part in the hand rather than waiting endlessly for perfect cards. The big blind is one of the anchors of the game, a quiet yet essential part of poker's structure. When you are in the big blind, you have already committed chips before seeing your cards. This commitment means that you are often drawn into the action, whether you want to be or not. If everyone folds, you collect the small blind and win the pot without resistance. If players only call, you can check and see the flop for free, using your invested chips to your advantage. But if a raise comes, the decision becomes more complex. Do you continue to defend your blind, risking more chips with an uncertain hand? Or do you surrender what you've already placed? This constant balancing act is what makes the big blind one of the most interesting positions in poker. Acting from the big blind also carries unique timing. Before the flop, you are the last player to act. This allows you to see how everyone else has chosen to play before making your decision. If the table is filled with cautious calls, you may feel more comfortable defending your blind. If aggressive raises are made, you must weigh the strength of your hand carefully against the cost of continuing. After the flop, however, the big blind becomes one of the earliest seats to act, losing that advantage. This shift adds another layer of complexity, reminding players that every decision is shaped not only by their cards, but by their position. Strategically, strong players treat the big blind differently from other seats. Because part of the bet is already invested, many players defend more hands here than they would in another position. Even modest cards may be worth continuing with, especially against a single opponent. Over time, however, it is important to recognize that defending too widely can lead to slow losses. The big blind asks for balance, knowing when to protect your investment and when to accept the cost of folding. It is a position that rewards observation and patience, as much as it rewards boldness. There are moments when the big blind can be turned into an opportunity. Facing a table of cautious players, a strong raise from this seat can reclaim control of the hand. Opponents who only limped in may fold, allowing you to win the pot outright. Even against raises, re-raising from the big blind can send a message of strength. These decisions require judgment, and they carry risk, but they remind us that even in a seat of obligation, there is room for creativity. The rotation of blinds ensures that every player takes on this role in turn. It is not a penalty, but a shared responsibility that keeps the game moving forward. The chips placed in the big blind are not lost. They are the foundation of action, the opening contribution that makes the hand possible. Each time the button moves, a new player experiences the challenge of this seat, keeping the game fair and balanced. As you imagine yourself sitting in the big blind, picture the quiet weight of chips already in the pot. You have committed before seeing your hand, and now the table's decisions come around to you. Sometimes you will fold, sometimes you will defend, and sometimes you will surprise your opponents with a bold raise. The big blind is not only a forced bet, it is the gateway into countless moments of tension and strategy. It is a position that teaches resilience, reminding you that even when you begin with an obligation, you still hold the power to shape the hand's story. Chapter 7. The Rotation of Blinds. Every hand of Texas Hold'em begins with blinds, but what makes them truly meaningful is not the size of the bets, but the way they rotate. With each hand, the dealer button moves clockwise, and with it, the small blind and the big blind shift to new players. This gentle rotation is the game's way of keeping balance. No one carries the cost forever, and no one escapes it completely. Over time, everyone shares the same responsibility, creating a rhythm that keeps the table fair. For the players, this rotation shapes the flow of the session. One hand you may be asked to post the big blind, defending your chips before you even see your cards. A few hands later, you are free from that duty, watching others take their turn instead. This cycle ensures variety. The table never feels static, because every orbit brings new positions, new challenges, and new perspectives. The fairness of this system is subtle, but powerful. Imagine a game without rotation. Some players would sit comfortably without ever contributing, while others would always be asked to pay. The rotation prevents this imbalance, ensuring that everyone participates equally. It is not punishment, but a gentle reminder that poker is a shared experience, built on contribution as much as competition. The rhythm of blinds also brings structure to time. In a long session, players often measure progress by the number of orbits they have completed, each circle of the button marking another passage of play. This steady movement creates continuity, a reminder that while each hand is unique, the cycle of poker is constant. As you picture the dealer sliding the button one seat to the left, imagine the quiet fairness it represents. Each player, in turn, will face the challenge of the blinds, and each will enjoy freedom when the button passes by. This simple act of rotation keeps the game alive, weaving balance into every hand. More than just bets, the blinds are the heartbeat of the table, pulsing evenly from player to player as the story of poker unfolds. Chapter 8: Hole Cards. As you settle into the rhythm of a poker game, one of the first things you'll notice is the dealer's smooth, practiced motion as they begin to distribute the cards. Each player receives 2 private cards, known as hole cards. These cards are dealt one at a time, face down, in a gentle, deliberate manner. The dealer moves around the table, ensuring each player receives their cards in turn. This moment is quiet, almost reverent, as players anticipate the possibilities these cards might hold. Once the cards are dealt, each player carefully lifts the corners of their hole cards, peeking at them discreetly. This is a private moment, a small secret between the player and their cards. The value of these hole cards will only be revealed to the rest of the table through the player's actions and decisions as the game progresses. It's important to protect these cards, shielding them from the view of others, as they hold the key to your strategy in the hand. The hole cards are more than just 2 pieces of cardboard. They are the foundation of your hand. In Texas Hold'em, the goal is to combine these 2 private cards with the 5 community cards that will eventually be placed on the table. Together, these cards create the best possible 5-card hand. The anticipation of how your hole cards will interact with the community cards is part of the excitement and challenge of the game. As you sit at the table, you might feel a sense of calm anticipation. You know that the cards you hold, combined with those yet to be revealed, will determine your path in this hand. The game unfolds slowly, with each round of betting bringing new possibilities. The suspense builds as you wait to see how your personal cards will connect with the community cards, forming a hand that could lead to victory. This moment of waiting, of quiet observation, is integral to the flow of poker. It requires patience and a keen sense of awareness. You must remain attentive, watching the reactions of other players, considering their potential hands, and planning your next move. The hole cards are your secret weapon, and how you choose to play them can make all the difference. Protecting your hole cards is not just about keeping them hidden from view. It's about maintaining their mystery, preserving the suspense that is at the heart of poker. As you hold your cards close, You are part of a tradition that has been played out on poker tables around the world for generations. Each player, from the novice to the seasoned pro, has experienced this moment of quiet anticipation, this delicate balance of secrecy and strategy. In the soft glow of the poker room, with the gentle rustle of chips and the quiet murmur of players, you find yourself immersed in the game. The whole cards in your hand are a promise of potential, a whisper of what might be. As you wait for the next card to be revealed, you are part of a timeless dance of chance and skill, where every decision matters and every moment is filled with possibility. Chapter 9. The Deck of Cards. Before the first bet is placed, and before the first community card is revealed, the game begins with a simple but powerful tool, the standard deck of 52 cards. This familiar deck is divided into 4 suits: hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Each suit carries 13 ranks, from the humble 2 to the powerful ace. Every card has its role, and every suit is equal in value, creating a foundation of fairness where no one begins with an advantage. The beauty of poker rests on this balance, where the outcome is shaped not by the design of the cards, but by the decisions of the players who hold them. The act of shuffling transforms the deck into a new story with every hand. Each shuffle erases the patterns of the last game, mixing suits and ranks into a fresh order that no one can predict. This randomness is not chaos, it is the guarantee that each hand stands on its own. As the cards are spread across the table, they carry no memory of what came before. The unpredictability of the shuffle ensures that every round of poker is a new beginning, an equal opportunity for skill, patience, and luck to meet. Though the deck is simple in design, it offers endless variety. With 52 cards, the possible combinations are vast, creating millions of unique hands and outcomes. This depth is part of the charm of Texas Hold'em. No 2 games are ever the same, and no 2 players face identical challenges. A pair of aces might be a blessing one moment, yet crumble against an unlikely straight or flush the next. The deck does not favor or discriminate, it simply provides the canvas upon which the game is painted. The ranks within the deck create their own quiet hierarchy. Low cards like 2s and 3s may seem unremarkable, yet they are the building blocks of straights. Face cards, jacks, queens, and kings, bring a sense of strength and prestige, often shaping the most memorable pots. The ace, flexible and adaptable, stands both high and low. It can anchor the smallest straight or crown the rare royal flush. This flexibility makes the ace one of the most fascinating cards, a reminder that in poker, value is always shaped by context. Beyond structure, the deck holds a rhythm that guides the flow of the game. It is shuffled, dealt, revealed, and then gathered again, only to be reshuffled for the next hand. This cycle repeats endlessly, steady and reliable, like the quiet ticking of time. The cards may change, but the ritual remains the same. Players find comfort in this rhythm, a reminder that while each outcome is uncertain, the process is constant and familiar. As you sit at the table, take a moment to appreciate the quiet power of the deck. 52 cards, equal in design yet infinite in possibility, hold within them the rise and fall of fortunes, the tension of decisions, and the calm patience of waiting for the right moment to act. With each shuffle, the story begins anew, carrying you gently into the next hand, where anything can happen and everything is possible. Chapter 10. Hand Rankings Overview. In the game of Texas Hold'em poker, understanding hand rankings is essential. Poker hands are ranked from weakest to strongest, and this hierarchy is crucial when determining the winner at the end of a hand. Let's begin with the most basic hand, known as the high card. This is the lowest ranking hand you can have. When no player has a pair or better, the player with the highest card wins. For example, if you have an ace and your opponent has a king, your ace high card would win. It's a simple concept, but an important one to grasp as it forms the foundation of poker hand rankings. Moving up from the high card, we have the pair. A pair consists of two cards of the same rank, such as two sevens or two queens. If two players have a pair, the one with the higher pair wins. If both players have the same pair, then the next highest card, known as the kicker, determines the winner. This is followed by two pair, which is exactly what it sounds like, two different pairs in the same hand, such as two fives and two eights. If two players have two pair, the higher pair is compared first, and if they are the same, the second pair is compared. If both pairs are the same, the kicker once again comes into play. Next we have three of a kind, also known as trips or a set. This hand consists of three cards of the same rank, such as three jacks. It's stronger than two pair, but weaker than a straight. A straight is a sequence of 5 cards in consecutive order, such as 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The suits do not matter in a straight, only the order of the cards. If two players have a straight, the one with the higher top card wins. Following the straight is the flush. A flush is made up of 5 cards of the same suit, but not in sequence. For example, 5 hearts or 5 spades. If two players have a flush, the player with the highest card in the flush wins. Then we have the full house, which is a combination of 3 of a kind and a pair, such as 3 tens and 2 fours. If two players have a full house, the one with the higher 3 of a kind wins. Next is 4 of a kind, also known as quads. This hand consists of 4 cards of the same rank, such as 4 aces. It's a very strong hand, and is only beaten by a straight flush or a royal flush. A straight flush is a combination of a straight and a flush, meaning 5 consecutive cards of the same suit. The highest possible straight flush is the royal flush, which is the best hand in poker. It consists of the ace, king, queen, jack, and 10 of the same suit. This hand is unbeatable. Understanding these rankings is crucial for playing poker effectively. They determine the winner when hands are revealed, known as the showdown. Knowing the rankings helps prevent confusion and ensures you can play confidently. Each of these rankings will be explained in more detail in the chapters ahead, so you can feel at ease as you learn and grow more comfortable with the game. Chapter 11. High Card. In the world of Texas Hold'em poker, the high card is the simplest and often the most overlooked hand. When no player at the table has managed to form a pair, a straight, or any other combination, the high card takes on a quiet significance. Imagine a scenario where you and your opponents reveal your cards at the end of a round, and no one has made a pair or better. In this case, the player with the highest single card wins the hand. It's a straightforward concept, yet it carries a subtle power in the game. The ace stands as the highest possible card in a high card scenario. It can be a comforting presence in your hand when the community cards on the table fail to connect with anyone's holdings. Picture yourself with an ace in your hand, and as the final card is revealed, you realize no one has managed to form a pair. Your ace quietly asserts its dominance, securing the pot for you. It's a gentle reminder that even the most basic hand can hold value when others miss their mark. Sometimes players find themselves in a situation where multiple hands have the same high card. This is where kickers come into play. A kicker is the next highest card in your hand that helps break ties between players with the same high card. For example, if you have an ace and a queen, and your opponent has an ace and a jack, your queen acts as the kicker. It gives you the edge, allowing you to win the hand. The presence of kickers adds a layer of strategy and nuance to what might otherwise seem like a simple hand. Consider a hand where you hold an ace and a queen, and the community cards offer no pairs or better combinations. Your opponent reveals a king and a jack. In this instance, your ace-queen triumphs over their king-jack. The ace, as your high card, leads the way, while the queen, as your kicker, ensures your victory. It's a moment of quiet satisfaction, knowing that even without a strong combination, your cards have prevailed. The high card may not be the most glamorous hand in poker, but it serves as a reminder of the game's unpredictability. In a round where everyone misses their draws, the high card becomes a beacon of hope. It's a testament to the idea that in poker, every card has its place and purpose. Sometimes it's the simplest hands that can surprise you, turning the tide of a game when you least expect it. The high card doesn't boast the complexity of a full house or the allure of a straight flush, but it holds its own quiet dignity. When the chips are down and the cards are revealed, the high card can be your unexpected ally. It's a gentle reminder that in the world of poker, even the smallest details can make a difference. With patience and a bit of luck, a high card can carry you to victory, proving that in this game of skill and chance, every card counts. Chapter 12. One Pair. In Texas Hold'em poker, one of the fundamental hand combinations you will encounter is a pair. A pair is simply two cards of the same rank. Imagine you are dealt two sevens. These two cards together form a pair of sevens. Similarly, if you have two queens, you hold a pair of queens. The concept is straightforward, yet it is a critical building block in the game of poker. When you sit at a poker table, you will notice that pairs are quite common. They often serve as the foundation for many winning hands. In a game, if you and another player both have a pair, the player with the higher pair will win the hand. For instance, if you have a pair of kings and your opponent has a pair of jacks, your pair of kings will win because kings rank higher than jacks. This hierarchy of card ranks is an essential aspect of understanding poker hands. Sometimes two players may end up with the same pair. In such cases, the winner is determined by the next highest card, known as the kicker. For example, if both you and another player have a pair of tens, the player with the highest kicker card will win the hand. If your kicker is an ace and your opponent's kicker is a king, your hand will be the winning one. This rule ensures that even when pairs are equal, there is a way to decide the winner. Pairs are not only common, but also quite valuable in poker. They often win small pots, especially when other players do not have stronger hands. In the early stages of learning poker, understanding the value of a pair can significantly enhance your gameplay. Recognizing when a pair is strong enough to bet on, or when it might be better to fold, is a skill that develops over time. As you become more familiar with the game, you will notice that pairs can lead to more complex hand combinations. For instance, if you have a pair, and the community cards reveal another card of the same rank, you have three of a kind. This progression from a simple pair to a more powerful hand is part of what makes poker an intriguing and strategic game. The concept of a pair is simple, yet powerful. It is a fundamental part of poker that you will encounter frequently. Remember that higher pairs beat lower pairs, and kickers can decide ties. As you continue to play and observe, you will gain a deeper appreciation for the role of pairs in the game. They are the building blocks of many winning hands, and understanding their value is key to becoming a proficient poker player. Chapter 13. two pair. In Texas Hold'em poker, the concept of two pair is a fundamental hand ranking that can often lead to a winning hand, yet it remains vulnerable to higher combinations. When you have two pair, it means you have two distinct pairs within your 5-card hand. For instance, you might hold a pair of kings and a pair of tens. Imagine looking at your cards and seeing a king of hearts and a king of spades, alongside a 10 of diamonds and a 10 of clubs. These pairs form the core of your hand, with one additional card known as the kicker. This kicker can be any card, such as a 3 of hearts, and it plays a crucial role if your two pair needs to be compared against another player's similar hand. In a game of Hold'em, the strength of a two-pair hand is initially determined by the higher pair. If you and another player both have two pair, the player with the higher pair wins. For example, if your opponent has a pair of queens and a pair of jacks, while you have a pair of kings and a pair of tens, your hand would be stronger because kings rank higher than queens. This hierarchy is essential in deciding the winner when two-pair hands are in contention. However, there are occasions when both players might have the same high pair. In such cases, the second pair comes into play. If you both have a pair of kings, but your second pair is tens and your opponent's second pair is nines, your hand would still be superior. The second pair acts as a tiebreaker when the highest pair is identical. In some scenarios, the two-pair hands might be completely identical, with both players holding, for example, a pair of kings and a pair of tens. Here, the kicker becomes the deciding factor. The kicker is the 5th card in the hand, which is not part of the two pairs. If your kicker is a higher card than your opponent's, your hand would win. For instance, if your kicker is an ace and your opponent's is a 9, your hand would take the pot. Two-pair hands are quite common in Texas Hold'em, and they often provide a strong position in a round of betting. However, it's important to remember that while two-pair can be a solid hand, it is not invincible. There are several other hand rankings that can surpass it, such as 3 of a kind, straights and flushes. This means that while holding two-pair can give you confidence, you must remain vigilant about the community cards on the table and the betting behavior of your opponents. Understanding the dynamics of two-pair is crucial for beginners learning the game. It teaches the importance of hand rankings and the subtle intricacies of determining the winner when hands are closely matched. As you gain experience, recognizing the strength of your hand in relation to the community cards and your opponent's potential holdings will become second nature. This knowledge will guide you in making informed decisions about when to bet, when to raise, and when to fold, ultimately enhancing your overall poker strategy. Chapter 14. 3 of a kind. 3 of a kind, often referred to as trips or a set, is a hand in Texas Hold'em poker that consists of 3 cards of the same rank. This hand is a step up in strength from two-pair and can often surprise opponents with its quiet power. To form 3 of a kind, you need 3 cards that share the same numerical value. For instance, if you hold 3 eights, you have 3 of a kind. Similarly, 3 jacks would also form this hand. The beauty of 3 of a kind lies in its ability to appear unexpectedly, especially when your opponents might be anticipating more common hands like pairs or two pairs. There are 2 primary ways to achieve 3 of a kind in Texas Hold'em: a set and trips. A set occurs when you start with a pocket pair in your hand, such as 2 sevens, and then one of the community cards on the board matches your pair. This means you now have 3 sevens, forming a set. The advantage of a set is that it can be quite deceptive. Your opponents may not immediately realize you have such a strong hand, especially if the board doesn't show any obvious threats like a straight or flush potential. On the other hand, trips happen when 2 of the same rank appear among the community cards on the board, and you hold the third matching card in your hand. For example, if the board shows two kings, and you have a king in your hand, you have trips. Trips can be a bit more visible to your opponents, since the pair on the board is evident to everyone. However, the strength of trips should not be underestimated, as it can still dominate many other hands, particularly if your opponents are holding weaker combinations, like a single pair or high card. In the hierarchy of poker hands, 3 of a kind is stronger than 2 pair. 2 pair consists of 2 different pairs, such as 2 5s and 2 9s. While 2 pair can be a decent hand, 3 of a kind surpasses it, due to the higher probability of winning against a wider range of hands. However, it's important to remember that 3 of a kind is not invincible. It is still weaker than a straight, which is 5 consecutive cards of any suit. Therefore, while holding 3 of a kind, it's crucial to be mindful of the board and the potential for straights or even flushes. The strength of 3 of a kind lies in its balance between power and subtlety. It can often win pots without needing to improve further, especially in situations where the board doesn't suggest stronger hands like straights or flushes. When playing with 3 of a kind, it's essential to gauge the betting patterns of your opponents. If they seem hesitant or are making small bets, it might indicate that your hand is currently the best. Conversely, if they are aggressive, it's wise to consider the possibility of stronger hands. 3 of a kind, whether achieved through a set or trips, is a formidable hand in Texas Hold'em poker. Its ability to outmatch 2 pair makes it a valuable asset in any player's arsenal. By understanding the nuances of how 3 of a kind is formed and its relative strength, you can make more informed decisions at the table. Keep an eye on the board and your opponents, and you'll be well equipped to maximize the potential of this powerful hand. Chapter 15. Straight. In the world of Texas Hold'em poker, understanding the concept of a straight is essential. A straight is a hand consisting of 5 consecutive cards, and the suits of these cards do not matter. This means that as long as the cards follow in sequence, they form a straight, regardless of whether they are hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades. For example, a hand containing the cards 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 forms a straight. The beauty of a straight lies in its simplicity and the flexibility it offers in play. One of the unique aspects of straights in poker is the role of the ace. The ace is a versatile card that can act as either the highest or the lowest card in a straight. When the ace is used as the highest card, it completes a straight with the sequence 10, Jack, Queen, King, and Ace. This is often referred to as a Broadway straight. On the other hand, the ace can also be used as the lowest card in a straight, forming the sequence Ace, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is sometimes called a wheel straight. Understanding this dual role of the ace can be pivotal in recognizing potential straights in your hand or on the board. In the hierarchy of poker hands, a straight is a strong hand. It beats a 3 of a kind, which consists of 3 cards of the same rank and 2 unrelated cards. This means that if you are holding a straight, you can feel confident against opponents who might be holding 3 of a kind. However, it is important to remember that straights can be vulnerable to other hands. For instance, a flush, which is 5 cards of the same suit, can beat a straight, even if the straight is composed of high cards. Additionally, a higher straight will always beat a lower straight. For example, a straight running from 6 to 10 will be defeated by a straight running from 7 to Jack. When playing Texas Hold'em, recognizing the potential for a straight can be crucial. As the community cards are revealed on the table, observe the sequences that might form. If you have a 3 and a 4 in your hand, and the board shows a 5, 6, and 7, you have a straight. This ability to quickly identify straights can give you an edge in the game. It allows you to make informed decisions about betting, raising, or folding. The strategic implications of holding a straight can vary, depending on the context of the game. In some situations, a straight might be the best possible hand, while in others, it might be vulnerable to higher hands. Always consider the possibility of opponents holding a flush or a higher straight, especially when there are multiple players in the hand. Being aware of these possibilities can help you manage your bets wisely and avoid unnecessary risks. The straight is a fundamental hand in Texas Hold'em poker. It is defined by 5 consecutive cards, with the ace capable of serving as either the highest or lowest card. While a straight is a strong hand that can beat a 3 of a kind, it must be played carefully, considering the potential for higher hands like flushes or higher straights. Understanding these dynamics will enhance your ability to play effectively and enjoy the strategic depth that poker offers. Chapter 16. Flush. In Texas Hold'em poker, understanding the different hand rankings is fundamental to playing the game effectively. One of the hands you might encounter is called a flush. A flush consists of 5 cards all sharing the same suit. The order of these cards does not matter, as long as they are all from the same suit, such as hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades. For instance, you might have an ace, 7, 5, 3, and 2, all of spades. This combination forms a flush, simply because all 5 cards are spades. When you have a flush, it's important to know how it stands against other hands. If you and another player both have a flush, the winner is determined by the highest card in the flush. For example, if your flush is made up of an ace, 7, 5, 3, and 2 of spades, and your opponent has a king, 10, 8, 6, and 4 of hearts, you would win because the ace is higher than the king. The highest card in the flush is what counts, and it's a simple yet crucial detail to remember. Flushes are strong hands in poker, but they have their place in the hierarchy of hand rankings. A flush will beat a straight, which is a sequence of 5 cards in consecutive order, but not necessarily of the same suit. For example, a straight might be a sequence like 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 of mixed suits. Even though a straight is a solid hand, it falls short when compared to a flush. The uniformity of the suit in a flush gives it an edge over the sequential order of a straight. However, a flush is not invincible. It is weaker than a full house, which is a combination of 3 cards of one rank and 2 cards of another rank. For example, 3 jacks and 2 eights form a full house. The full house is a more complex hand, and ranks higher than a flush due to the combination of 3 of a kind and a pair. In a showdown, if you hold a flush and your opponent reveals a full house, the full house will take the pot. In the grand scheme of poker hands, understanding where a flush fits can help you make better decisions during the game. Knowing that a flush beats a straight but loses to a full house can guide your betting strategy and help you assess the strength of your hand relative to others. This knowledge allows you to play with confidence, knowing when to push your advantage or when to exercise caution. As you continue to learn and play, these hand rankings will become second nature. The flush, with its simple requirement of 5 cards of the same suit, is a powerful hand in many situations. Remembering how it compares to other hands will serve you well as you navigate the exciting and strategic world of Texas Hold'em poker. Chapter 17. Full House. A full house is a compelling hand in Texas Hold'em poker, combining the strength of 3 of a kind with the subtle support of a pair. Imagine holding a hand where you have 3 queens, each queen adding its regal presence to your strategy, and alongside them 2 fives, quietly yet confidently backing up the trio. This combination, known as a full house, is a powerful force at the poker table. The beauty of a full house lies in its balance of strength and subtlety. It's a hand that can turn the tide of a game, offering a blend of power and finesse. When you hold a full house, the rank of the three-of-a-kind portion, or the triplet, is what primarily determines the hand's strength in any tie situations. For instance, if two players both have full houses, the one with the higher triplet will win. So, if you hold 3 queens and your opponent holds 3 jacks, your full house would emerge victorious. This makes the triplet the cornerstone of your hand's power, a key factor to consider when assessing your position at the table. In the hierarchy of poker hands, a full house ranks above a flush, but below 4 of a kind. This means that while it can decisively beat a flush, it still falls short if faced with the formidable 4 of a kind. Understanding this ranking is crucial, as it helps you gauge the potential strength of your hand against others. In many cases, a full house can be the decisive factor in medium-sized pots, where its strength is often unmatched by the more common hands like straights and flushes. The rarity of a full house adds to its allure. It's not a hand you'll see every round, and when it does appear, it brings with it a sense of calm assurance. Knowing that you hold a full house can instill a quiet confidence, allowing you to play with a steady hand and a clear mind. This hand doesn't just offer power, it offers a strategic advantage, giving you the opportunity to make calculated moves and potentially dominate the round. Holding a full house can feel like having a secret weapon. It's a hand that invites patience and precision, encouraging you to observe your opponents and make thoughtful decisions. As you play, remember the strength of your triplet, the supportive presence of your pair, and the overall power of the full house. Let this hand guide you through the game with a sense of calm confidence, knowing that you hold one of the most powerful combinations in Texas Hold'em poker. Chapter 18. 4 of a kind. In the game of Texas Hold'em poker, one of the most powerful hands you can achieve is known as 4 of a kind, or quads. This hand is formed when you have 4 cards of the same rank, which makes it a formidable combination at the poker table. Imagine having 4 aces in your hand. The sight is enough to send a shiver down the spine of any opponent, as it signifies an almost unbeatable hand. Similarly, 4 nines would also constitute 4 of a kind. This hand is extremely rare, making it a prized possession when it does occur. The rarity of 4 of a kind is what makes it so special. In the grand scheme of poker hands, it is much less common than a full house, a flush, or even a straight. This scarcity is due to the need for 4 cards of the same rank, which is a challenging feat given the random nature of card distribution in poker. When you do manage to achieve this hand, it often leads to a significant advantage over your opponents, as very few hands can surpass it in strength. In situations where 2 players both have 4 of a kind using the community cards, the winner is determined by the kicker. The kicker is the highest ranking card that is not part of the 4 of a kind. For example, if you have 4 aces with a king as your kicker, and your opponent has 4 aces with a queen as their kicker, your hand would be the winning hand. The kicker plays a crucial role in breaking ties and can be the deciding factor in who takes the pot. Despite its strength, 4 of a kind is not invincible. It is beaten only by 2 other hands, the straight flush and the royal flush. A straight flush consists of 5 consecutive cards of the same suit, while a royal flush is a specific type of straight flush that includes the ace, king, queen, jack, and 10, all of the same suit. These hands are even rarer than 4 of a kind, which is why they hold the highest positions in the hierarchy of poker hands. The power of 4 of a kind lies in its ability to dominate nearly all other hands. When you hold such a hand, you can play with confidence, knowing that the odds are heavily in your favor. This hand can lead to significant wins, especially if your opponents are holding strong but inferior hands like a full house or a flush. The element of surprise and the sheer strength of four of a kind can often lead to a thrilling showdown at the poker table. Four of a kind is a rare and powerful hand in Texas Hold'em poker. Its formation requires four cards of the same rank, and it is capable of beating most other hands except for the elusive straight flush and royal flush. The rarity and strength of this hand make it a formidable force in any poker game, providing a significant advantage to those fortunate enough to hold it. Chapter 19. Straight Flush. The straight flush is a harmonious blend of sequence and suit, where five cards follow one another in perfect order, all sharing the same suit. Imagine, for instance, holding the 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 of diamonds. Each card, a glistening gem in its own right, comes together to form a sequence that is as mesmerizing as it is formidable. The straight flush is a hand that stands tall in the hierarchy of poker hands, a testament to its strength and rarity. When you find yourself with a straight flush, you are holding one of the most coveted combinations in the game. This hand is not just strong, it is exceptionally rare, a true jewel in the crown of poker hands. It is a hand that commands respect at the table, often leading to victory in the majority of poker showdowns. The straight flush is a hand that can only be surpassed by another straight flush of a higher rank, or the illustrious royal flush, which is the pinnacle of poker hands. The royal flush, composed of the 10 Jack, Queen, King and Ace of the same suit, is the only hand that can outshine the straight flush in its brilliance. The beauty of the straight flush lies in its simplicity and elegance. Each card in the sequence contributes to the overall strength of the hand, and the shared suit ties them together in a seamless flow. As you hold this hand, you can almost feel the quiet power it exudes, a silent assurance of its potential to dominate the game. The rarity of the straight flush adds to its allure, making it a hand that players dream of achieving. It is a moment of triumph when the cards reveal themselves in such perfect harmony, a testament to the unpredictable yet rewarding nature of poker. In the tranquil setting of a poker game, the straight flush emerges as a beacon of strength. It is a hand that, when played, can shift the dynamics of the table, turning the tide in your favor. The other players, recognizing the power of your hand, may find themselves reconsidering their strategies, aware of the formidable opponent they face. The straight flush is a hand that commands attention, a reminder of the skill and luck that intertwine in the game of poker. Chapter 20. Royal Flush. In the world of Texas Hold'em poker, there exists a hand that stands above all others, a hand that is both the epitome of poker prowess and the dream of every player who sits at the table. This hand is known as the royal flush. A royal flush is composed of an ace, king, queen, jack, and 10, all of the same suit. Imagine, if you will, the elegance of a deck's highest cards, each one a picture of regality, coming together in perfect harmony. Whether they are hearts, diamonds, clubs, or spades, the suit does not matter, as long as they are unified. This union of cards represents the pinnacle of poker hands, the ultimate combination that cannot be surpassed by any other hand in the game. The royal flush is not just the highest possible hand, it is a symbol of poker's ultimate achievement. It is a hand that, when revealed, commands respect and admiration from all who witness it. In the hierarchy of poker hands, the royal flush sits at the very top, untouchable and unbeaten. No other hand can compete with its supremacy. A straight flush, four of a kind, a full house, or any other combination falls short when faced with a royal flush. It is the hand that all players hope to see when they look at their hole cards and the community cards on the table. Yet, it is also a hand that is shrouded in rarity. The rarity of a royal flush is part of what makes it so iconic. In the vast number of hands played in a poker game, the chances of being dealt a royal flush are slim. It is a hand that may not appear for many sessions, or even over the course of a player's entire poker experience. This scarcity only adds to its allure. When players gather around the felt, each one dreams of that moment when the cards align in their favor, granting them the unbeatable hand. It is a moment that is often talked about in poker circles, a tale of triumph that is shared with a sense of wonder and pride. For beginners learning the game, understanding the significance of a royal flush is an important step in appreciating the depth of poker. While it is not a hand that one can rely on seeing frequently, knowing its place in the game's hierarchy helps players grasp the strategic layers of Texas Hold'em. As you sit at the table, learning the basics and honing your skills, keep in mind the royal flush. It is a reminder of the game's potential for surprise and excitement. The cards may not always fall in your favor, but the possibility of a royal flush keeps the dream alive, fueling the passion that drives players to return to the table time and again. In live play, the royal flush is a rare gem, an occurrence that is celebrated and remembered. When it does appear, it is often met with a mix of disbelief and joy. The player holding such a hand experiences a moment of pure poker bliss, a fleeting yet unforgettable experience that encapsulates the thrill of the game. Chapter 21. Preflop Action. Every hand of Texas Hold'em begins with the preflop round, the stage that follows the dealing of 2 private hole cards to each player. This is the first chance to act, and the choices made here often shape the rest of the hand. The action starts with the player seated to the left of the big blind, moving clockwise around the table. Each player must decide whether to fold, call, or raise. Folding means releasing your cards and waiting for the next hand. Calling matches the value of the big blind to stay in the hand. Raising increases the wager, signaling either strength or an attempt to pressure opponents. Position plays a central role in this phase. Players who act earlier must make decisions without knowing what others will do, so they tend to play stronger, more selective hands. Players who act later, especially near the dealer button, benefit from seeing how the table responds before making their own choice. This advantage allows them to play a wider range of hands with greater confidence. Understanding this difference between early and late position is one of the first strategic lessons of poker. The blinds also shape the flow of preflop action. The small blind and big blind have already committed chips, and when the action returns to them, they must decide whether to continue defending their forced bets. If no raises have occurred, the big blind may check to see the flop, without adding more chips. But when raises come, blind players face a unique dilemma. They are already invested, yet often acting from weaker positions for the rest of the hand. This tension is what makes preflop action so dynamic. Raises and re-raises in the preflop round also reveal important information. A player who raises from an early seat often represents a stronger hand than one raising from late position. Multiple raises, known as re-raises, increase the stakes further and force players to carefully weigh the strength of their cards against the growing size of the pot. These moments set the tone for the hand, clarifying who is willing to commit chips and who is more cautious. Preflop decisions carry lasting consequences. A well-timed fold can save chips for stronger opportunities later. A thoughtful raise can claim the blinds outright, winning the hand before the flop is even dealt. And a flat call can invite other players into the pot, creating a multi-way situation where hand strength must be judged differently. Each choice shapes the hand's direction, making the pre-flop round one of the most strategic moments in the game. As you picture the table, imagine the quiet sequence of decisions moving clockwise. One player folds without hesitation, another calls softly, a third raises with confidence. Each action influences the next, creating a chain of decisions that leads back to the blinds. The round closes only when all calls and raises are balanced, and then the game moves to the flop. By mastering the subtleties of this opening round position, hand selection, and the meaning behind raises, you begin to see how every hand of poker is built from its very first choices. Chapter 22. The Flop. In Texas Hold'em, the flop is the turning point, where the game begins to take real shape. After the pre-flop betting round ends, the dealer burns one card face down, then places 3 cards face up in the center of the table. These shared community cards, called the flop, combine with each player's private hole cards to form the beginnings of their 5-card hand. From this moment forward, the texture of the board, the suits, ranks, and connections between these 3 cards becomes just as important as the hole cards in front of you. The flop introduces countless possibilities. A player holding 2 hearts may suddenly see 2 more hearts appear, giving them a flush draw with the chance to complete 5 of the same suit. Someone holding a pocket pair could hit a third matching card, forming a set, one of the strongest hidden hands in poker. Even hands that seemed weak before the flop can come alive when the right community cards fall. At the same time, strong-looking starting hands can lose much of their value if the flop doesn't connect. This shift is what makes the flop such a critical stage of the game. The arrival of the flop also begins the second round of betting. Action starts with the player to the left of the dealer button and continues clockwise. Players must now consider not only their own cards, but also the new possibilities the board creates for their opponents. A flop of 10, Jack and Queen, for example, offers straight opportunities to anyone holding a king or 9. A flop of 3 low cards, on the other hand, may not connect with many hands at all, creating a much different style of play. These board textures are often described as wet or dry. Wet flops, filled with connected cards and suits, create more draws and more danger. Dry flops, with scattered ranks and few suited cards, tend to favor strong single pairs or overpairs. Strategy on the flop often revolves around reading this texture and making decisions that balance risk and opportunity. Checking may be the right move when the flop creates obvious threats and you want to see what others do first. Betting can protect a strong hand or apply pressure on opponents holding weaker draws. Raising signals confidence, forcing others to decide whether their hand is worth continuing. Every action is shaped by both the cards on the table and the story your opponents might be telling through their play. The flop is also where observation becomes critical. Watching how quickly or slowly opponents act, noticing whether they bet into dangerous boards or hesitate when checked to, all provide clues about the strength of their holdings. These small pieces of information, gathered calmly and patiently, can guide your choices through the rest of the hand. As you picture the dealer spreading 3 cards across the felt, imagine the table shifting from quiet anticipation to thoughtful calculation. Each player now sees new possibilities, weighing their private cards against the shared ones in the middle. Some hands will grow stronger, some will fade, and the decisions made in this moment will echo through the rest of the hand. The flop is where Texas Hold'em truly begins to unfold, a stage where strategy deepens, risks sharpen, and the story of the hand takes its first clear shape. Chapter 23. The Turn. The turn is the 4th community card in Texas Hold'em, and it often carries more weight than any stage before it. After the dealer finishes the betting round on the flop, 1 card is burned face down, and then the next card is dealt face up on the table. With this simple action, the 3-card flop becomes 4, and the possibilities for every player at the table change immediately. A flush draw may now be complete. A straight may appear where none existed before. A pair may suddenly feel weak in the face of new combinations. The turn reshapes the board, often transforming quiet speculation into urgent decisions. What makes the turn unique is not only the addition of a single card, but also the context in which it arrives. By this stage, chips are already in the pot. Players have committed themselves to earlier action, and each choice they made on the flop now carries forward. The turn card may reward patience or punish reckless calls. It may solidify a strong hand, or it may expose weakness. This is why the turn is often called the Street of Reckoning. With only one card left to come, the decisions made here frequently determine whether a player will stay in the hand or step aside. In many betting structures, the turn also raises the stakes. In fixed-limit games, bet sizes double after the turn is revealed. A player who might have casually called a bet on the flop now faces a larger investment. In no-limit games, pots have often grown large enough by this point that a single bet on the turn can represent a major commitment. The pressure intensifies, and with it, the importance of reading both the board and the other players increases. Strategically, the turn is a moment to evaluate the board's texture. A safe card, such as an unconnected low card, may change very little, allowing earlier strength to hold steady. A dangerous card, such as one that completes a flush or straight, can shift the balance of power instantly. Players with drawing hands who called on the flop must decide if it is worth continuing. Those with strong-made hands must decide whether to protect their holdings with a bet or play cautiously. Every option carries weight, and the decision often echoes into the final betting round. Observation is as critical here as the cards themselves. How quickly or slowly a player checks, the confidence of a bet, or the hesitation of a call, all of these details provide clues. Calm players use the turn not only to play their cards but to study their opponents, gathering information that may prove decisive on the river. By the time the turn betting round ends, the stage is set. The pot is often large, the tension is real, and the players who remain know that they are moving toward a final decision. The turn is a reminder of how quickly fortunes shift in poker. It is the bridge between the early exploration of the flop and the finality of the river. With one card, a dream can come alive, or a strong hand can collapse. As you watch the dealer place the fourth card on the felt, imagine the ripple of thought it creates around the table. Each player adjusts, recalculates, and chooses a path forward. The turn is not just another card. It is the test of patience, strategy, and calm resolve. Chapter 24: The River. The river is the fifth and final community card in Texas Hold'em. As with each earlier stage, the dealer burns one card face down, then places the last card face up on the table. This simple action finalizes the board. With the river revealed, all possibilities are set. No more cards remain to change the outcome. Whatever is shown now will define the final hands, and the choices players make in this round will determine who claims the pot. The river is unique because it removes uncertainty about future cards. On the flop and turn, players may call or bet in the hope that their hand improves. On the river, no improvement is possible. Players must act with what they have, or with what they can represent through strategy. A strong hand may choose to bet for value, coaxing more chips into the pot. A weak hand may choose to bluff, hoping to force opponents to fold. Others may check quietly, accepting the hand as it stands. Each decision is final, carrying the weight of closure. Betting on the river often feels different from earlier rounds. Pots are usually larger, built up over prior betting, and the decisions cost more. Some players bet boldly here, believing their opponents will fold weaker hands. Others play cautiously, wary of losing additional chips on the last card. This mixture of confidence and hesitation gives the river its distinctive tension. Every bet and call is magnified because there is no chance left to recover in this hand. Strategically, the river is a lesson in clarity. Players must judge not only their own hand's strength, but also the likelihood that opponents hold something stronger. Reading the board is essential. A river that completes a flush or straight can change the entire outcome. A harmless-looking card may still provide an opponent with the missing piece they needed. Calm players study both the table and the behavior of those around it, weighing whether to push forward or step back. Bluffing also reaches its peak on the river. Because no more cards remain, a bluff must convince opponents that the better already holds the winning hand. The strength of a river bluff often lies not in the single bet, but in the story told throughout the hand. Did earlier bets suggest strength? Does the board support the possibility? If so, a well-timed river bluff can win the pot without a showdown. If not, it risks being called by opponents who sense weakness. The river magnifies these choices, rewarding consistency and punishing uncertainty. When the last bet is placed and the action comes to a close, the river delivers its calm conclusion. Players prepare for the showdown, and the suspense of hidden hole cards soon turns into clarity. Whether the river crowned a winner or simply confirmed the inevitable, it always brings resolution. As you picture the dealer sliding that final card onto the felt, imagine the stillness that follows. The story of the hand is complete, and all that remains is to reveal the truth. The river is both an ending and a reminder. In poker, as in life, each journey leads to a final decision. Chapter 25. The Showdown. When all betting is complete, and two or more players remain, the hand reaches the showdown. This is the moment when speculation ends, and cards are revealed. The process has its own quiet order. The last player to have made an aggressive action on the river, such as a bet or raise, must show their cards first. If no player bet, the order begins with the seat closest to the dealer button, and proceeds clockwise. This simple structure ensures fairness and clarity, avoiding confusion over who reveals first. At the showdown, every player uses their 2 private hole cards and the 5 community cards to create the best possible 5-card hand. Any combination can be used, both hole cards, 1 hole card, or even none, relying solely on the board. The hierarchy of hand rankings, from high card to royal flush, decides the winner. Often, it is the smallest details that matter most. A kicker, the side card that breaks ties, can quietly determine who takes the pot. 2 players may share a pair of aces, but if one holds a queen as their kicker and the other only a jack, that single card will decide the outcome. The dealer serves as the impartial guide during this stage. With careful attention, they compare hands, announce the winner, and push the pot forward. Their role is to maintain calm, to ensure the rules are followed, and to settle the contest without dispute. For the players, this moment can feel decisive yet serene. A pot built over multiple streets is finally resolved, and the chips flow to their new owner, with a steady motion. The showdown is more than just revealing cards. It is a reflection of the decisions made earlier in the hand. Bets, calls, and folds are confirmed or questioned when the truth is shown. Sometimes the winner aligns with what players suspected. Other times the table is surprised, learning that a quiet player held far stronger cards than expected. These moments carry lessons. They remind players that appearances can be deceptive, and that strategy often hides behind calm expression. Etiquette plays a role here as well. Players are expected to reveal their cards promptly when required, and to respect the process. Holding back or slow rolling a winning hand is discouraged, as it disrupts the smooth flow of the game. A clean showdown, where each player accepts the result with a nod or a word of acknowledgement, maintains the spirit of poker as both competition and camaraderie. When the last card is revealed, and the chips are awarded, the table resets. Cards are gathered, blinds move, and a new hand begins. The showdown stands as the natural conclusion of each round, a moment where strategy and chance combine to create a final truth. In the steady rhythm of Texas Hold'em, it is the place where stories end before new ones begin. The calm ritual of the showdown, simple and clear, is what gives closure to the unfolding drama of the hand. Chapter 26. Winning Pots. Every hand in Texas Hold'em ends with the awarding of the pot, the collection of chips that players have built through their bets. This process is essential, for it transforms the abstract contest of cards and betting into a tangible outcome. The dealer plays the central role, carefully sliding the chips across the felt to the rightful winner. This small gesture represents both the reward of strategy and the continuation of the game as the cycle of play moves forward. Sometimes awarding the pot is straightforward. One player has the best hand at showdown, and the dealer pushes the entire pot their way. At other times, it is more complex. When players go all in with unequal chip stacks, side pots are created. Each side pot belongs only to those who contributed to it. The dealer must track these carefully, awarding them in sequence, to ensure fairness. This rule prevents confusion and makes sure that no player can win more than they risked. The calm handling of side pots is a mark of order and trust at the table. Chip management is another important part of this stage. Players are encouraged to keep their chips neatly stacked in front of them, not hidden or scattered. This clarity makes betting rounds smoother and awarding pots easier. A player's visible stack tells others how much they have at risk, while proper handling by the dealer ensures that chips are distributed without dispute. The rhythm of stacking, betting, and pushing chips is part of the game's natural flow. Winning a pot is not only about the result of a single hand, it also carries psychological weight. For the winner, it brings confidence, a steady reinforcement of strategy and patience. For the others, it can be a lesson in restraint, a reminder to wait for better opportunities. The flow of chips from player to player tells the story of the session, an ebb and flow of fortune that shifts gently over time. At the same time, the awarding of pots reinforces the social aspect of poker. A win may be acknowledged with a nod, a quiet word, or a subtle smile. Losses are accepted with composure, knowing that the next hand is only moments away. The dealer remains steady, neither celebrating nor lamenting, simply guiding the chips to their rightful place. This consistency creates trust, ensuring that the competition remains fair and the atmosphere remains calm. As you picture the pot being pushed across the table, imagine the small rituals surrounding it. The dealer's careful hands, the quiet acknowledgement of players, and the smooth transition into the next deal. Each pot represents both an ending and a beginning. It is the resolution of one contest and the setup for the next. In Texas Hold'em, winning pots is more than a mechanical process. It is the heartbeat of the game, the moment where tension transforms into outcome before the cycle begins again. Chapter 27. A gentle recap. As the journey through Texas Hold'em comes to a close, it is worth pausing to reflect on the flow of the game. It begins at the table itself, with players gathered in quiet anticipation. The dealer button moves clockwise, marking the passage of each hand. To its left, the small blind and the big blind ensure that every round begins with something at stake. From there, each player receives 2 private hole cards, the seeds of possibility that guide their choices. The game unfolds in stages, each one adding depth and decision. The pre-flop round begins with the first choices: to fold, to call, or to raise. Players weigh the strength of their hole cards against position and circumstance. The flop follows, revealing 3 shared cards that open countless paths forward. The turn arrives next, a single card that often transforms speculation into decision. Then comes the river, the final card that seals the board and leads to the last betting round. At the showdown, the hidden hands are revealed. Strategy, chance, and patience come together in the final comparison. The dealer announces the winner, and the pot is awarded. Chips slide across the felt, and the table resets for the next contest. Each hand is a story, brief but complete, woven into the larger rhythm of the game. The hand rankings are the language that makes sense of these stories. From the simple high card to the unmatched royal flush, each combination holds meaning. Pairs, trips, straights, flushes, and full houses mark steps along the path of strength. Quads and straight flushes remind us of rarity and surprise. These rankings, learned patiently, provide the structure that turns cards into competition. Yet beyond mechanics and rankings, Texas Hold'em is a game of rhythm and presence. The blinds ensure constant motion. The shuffle of cards renews possibility each hand. The chips mark both progress and setback, flowing gently between players as fortunes rise and fall. Observing, waiting, and choosing carefully are as much a part of the game as betting boldly or bluffing with courage. As you reflect on these lessons, remember that poker is not about a single hand or moment. It is about the flow from one stage to the next, the way patience builds into strategy and strategy into outcome. Each round is a chance to learn, to adjust, and to embrace both chance and choice. The game is endless, but each hand offers closure before the next begins. Take with you the calm structure of the game, the blinds, the deal, the stages of betting, and the quiet resolution at showdown. Let the steady rhythm of Hold'em remind you that every decision is part of a larger cycle. In its quiet way, the game teaches patience, awareness, and acceptance. With these foundations, you can sit at the table, relax into its flow, and know that the story of Texas Hold'em will always be ready to unfold again.